Hello and welcome to another episode of the weekly Waypoint. This week we are back in Unreal Tournament 2004 because I'm not really playing anything on PC that I can showcase in this week's weekly Waypoint. So typically when that happens, I fall back on the old reliable, I fall back on Unreal Tournament. And I gotta say I had a lot of fun during this match. There is a certain level of bot skill and bot density in a certain map or certain maps on Instagib mode that just causes me to zen out and do decently. So yeah, these are skilled bots. They're not anything like, wow, Christian's doing amazing, but it's just this is peak Unreal Tournament for me, and this map is an old favourite as well. Anyway, Jesus died or something, so I got 3 days off. Well, I got 1 day off, but it amounted to having 3 consecutive days off work, which is nigh unheard of outside of a week off. And I do have a week off next week. I've got 3 days off, 4 days on, and then 8 days off, so very nice indeed. So yeah, I'm in a pretty zen kind of a place all around. But tell me, dear viewer, what did you spend your Easter doing? Because I spent my Easter in space! First of all, the No Man's Sky Expeditions update got announced and released as the team over at Hello Games tend to do. They're like, emoji, lol, massive update, and it's like, whoa, where did that come from? And why is it still free? Good god, this one out of all of them feels like they could have charged for, because it's basically their version of a battle pass, except it's unique in that it's its own save file. It's hard to explain succinctly if you don't already know about it, but basically it's this community expedition which gets converted to a normal save when it's over, but it goes on for 2 months, and you basically all start on the same planet, and there's different goals to achieve, like in a battle pass. It's like, go and do this and this and this, and at different tiers you get different rewards which you can go and claim on all of your saves, and at the end of it you get a golden spaceship that looks hella rad, and I'm probably not going to get because I don't know enough about the game to do this all in 2 months, even though some people are doing it in 12 hours. But I've done phase 1 and I'm halfway through phase 2. And it's a lot of fun so far. No Man's Sky continues to be amazing, and I don't play every single update that comes out, so this is a really good jumping in point for me, because I haven't played much of the Origins update, I don't think, which was the basically 3.0 update, and I haven't played since they added pets or since they added derelict freighters or anything like that. And besides that, it's such a big game in just the amount of content it has, that there's some stuff that I'm still learning despite having sunk probably 100 hours across all of my saves at this point into that game. I didn't realise you can get a launch thruster that recharges itself over time, which is neat. I didn't a lot of the technology stuff. In my first save, where I played for 60 hours, I never bothered to get technology upgrades, and it's what the hell was I thinking? I don't know if the state that the game was in earlier on just didn't encourage people to go and do that as much as it does now. Maybe there weren't as many good upgrades, everything was just percentage based, but now you can get some really fucking good technology upgrades, so that's nice. And the other thing I want to say about the update is that it's a smaller part of the patch notes, but they mentioned that they rebalanced resource gathering in normal mode, so it's less of a grind. You get more resources, you can find them easier, you need less resources to repair things, stuff like that. And that little rebalancing has made the game feel so much better, because I personally don't like the survival grind. If I wanted to do that, I would be playing on the survival mode, which is still there for the people who want it. But playing on creative mode kind of robs me of any feeling of accomplishment or progression, so this is the perfect middle ground now. I love it. Only downside is they patched the PC version before they patched the Xbox version, so when me and my friend tried to play cross-play on Xbox over the weekend, we couldn't do so, but no big deal, we'll get to it. But yeah, very much enjoying the Expeditions update for No Man's Sky. If you have No Man's Sky and you haven't played it in a while, I highly encourage you to jump in, because I think I played for 5 or 6 hours on Easter Sunday. It was pretty great. But that's not all. When I said I spent my Easter in space, I didn't just mean in Sean Murray's space. I also meant in People Can Fly space, because I forgot the name of the developer for a second. When Outriders was announced, I could not have given less of a shit. I felt so burnt out on these halfway house which is kind of a cruel way of putting it, I guess. Live games which aren't MMOs but aren't obviously just multiplayer co-op games. They're somewhere in between. And I saw Outriders as another one of those, as like basically a Destiny style game. And I was feeling very kind of let down by Destiny at that particular point. I don't know if that's the last time I stopped playing or the time before that, but when it was announced, I was like, yeah, I don't really care. Reese was kind of excited. He was like, this looks interesting, and he played the beta and stuff, and he was telling me how interesting it was, and I was like, that's nice, Reese. I don't want to get my chops into another game like this, basically. And then they announced that it was coming to Game Pass, and I went, I'll give it a try because I'm paying for Game Pass, so why not? And I am really glad I did, because I love Outriders. Before we get away too far from what I just said, I have been informed by several people now that it's not as close to Destiny as it is to something like Borderlands or Diablo, where it's like co-op and it's online and all of that, but it's not necessarily like a living game, if you know what I mean, with seasons and all of that. They've actually come out and said that if they're going to do extra stuff, it'll probably be like story expansions, which is fucking dope. Okay, so let's paint a picture. I've downloaded this game to my Xbox, and I'm like, fine, I guess I'll give this game a try. I have no idea what to expect because I haven't watched any like trailer. I think I watched like the first, obviously the reveal trailer when I decided I didn't care about it, but I haven't really watched any gameplay footage or anything like that. I haven't listened to anything about the beta, and so I just jump in. I'm like, okay, what is this world? And I'm immediately hooked by the story, by the premise of the story, which is that Earth's fucked and we're starting fresh on a new planet, and we're the only people who actually made it here, and do we even deserve to be here because we're just some mercenaries that they were supposed to send ahead to scout it out for us, but we're the only ship that survived, and all of this kind of a thing. And I was like, wow, this is giving me like what I imagine Mass Effect Andromeda would be, like the promise of Mass Effect Andromeda, not in the gameplay but in that like the story of we don't know what to expect from this completely alien world instead of an entire galaxy, but you know what I'm saying, like this is the reason why I'm interested in Mass Effect Andromeda, is this premise, even though I've heard bad things obviously about Mass Effect Andromeda. And I spent so long reading every bit of lore, and I love it. I love the backstory, I love how they got there. And then when I got to the part where spoilers, you wake up in the future, and you know the world's entered a new era, and I mean there's combat in the game. You know there's going to be combat in the game, so obviously there's conflict happening, so shit's fucked basically. Then I was like, wow, this is... I don't normally sign up for this kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland, there's no morality, everyone's an asshole kind of a world, but for some reason I'm sold on this one, I guess because I saw how it started out, and I'm fascinated by how it developed in the time skip, and learning more about this world and seeing if we can get people back to that kind of paradise, like... No spoilers for me in the comments, by the way, please, because I'm still only a little ways through the game, but I want to see if, like, in the story we can save people from the valley that they're stuck in, and like get them to somewhere where they can actually build a society. I'm basically sold on the story for this game, like 100%. I've had some people tell me it's kind of generic, or they've seen stuff like it before, or it's not doing anything new or special. I guess I'm missing out on the stuff that's already done this, because I'm loving every second of this. It's amazing. The gameplay is also really good. I was concerned because I thought, oh, so it's like Destiny but cover shooter instead of I guess just first person shooter, but no, it's like its own thing. It's like if Gears of War had a baby with Doom, in terms of what the combat wants you to do. It's cover shooter, but it rewards aggressive play. In fact, it kind of punishes you for playing too defensively, but maybe that's just a class. Maybe it's just a class. I'm playing as Trickster, and Trickster's really fucking fun. Basically you can teleport behind enemies, you can do knife slashes that make them explode, you can do like a whirlwind blade tornado thing. It's so good. It's a lot of fun. The reason I liken it to Doom, and bear in mind I still haven't played Doom Eternal, is I liken it to Doom 2016 in that like the combats, you've got like this toolkit, like your abilities are much more active than in Destiny or something like that. So you've got your abilities, and the game rewards you making the best use of them. Like I get health back for killing enemies within a short range, so I teleport. If I'm like low on health, I'll like teleport behind a group of snipers who are harassing me. I'll cut them all in half, and then I'll run away and hide as soon as I get my health back, and then I'll use my shotguns. I'm rewarded for using shotguns in many ways to like quickly kill people so I can get health back as fast as I'm losing it, and it's just like, what if Gears of War was on acid, basically. I'm really glad I played Gears of War before this as well, just so that I could get a taste for what that genre started out as and appreciate how different Outriders is. So to sum up, combat good, world building good, multiplayer okay, so No Man's Sky was our fallback game to see if multiplayer and Outriders wouldn't work, and no, it did not work, at least not cross-play. So we had a bad weekend for playing multiplayer, me and Reese. We were like, we're going to play some multiplayer games this weekend, and then we couldn't. But they're launching a online game in the middle of a pandemic, so what are you going to do? I'm looking forward to playing with Reese. I want to try playing one of the classes that kind of benefits from playing in a group, so I'm probably going to play as the is it Mechromancer? I forget. The one that makes machines and stuff. And because I've heard they're long range, and I really enjoy sniper rifles in that game as well, I just don't really get rewarded for using them as a trickster. So yeah, I'm loving Outriders so far. Like really loving it. And if it's just like a really good campaign that ends, and then there's some like Diablo style end game, and then you're just waiting for story expansions, that's great. That's fine. I don't need games to all be like Destiny, where they're trying to get you to repeat content for slightly increased rewards every 5 minutes. I think I'm a little bit out of love with that style of game, unless it's a full-fledged MMO, because of course I'm still playing those, because I'm Christian, of course I'm playing those. So yeah, thank you for listening to my ramble about how good No Man's Sky and Outriders are. Play them if you haven't already. Both are on Xbox Game Pass. The best deal in gaming. Sorry, I have a little chip on my shoulder about how everyone's spouting marketing rhetoric about Game Pass, and they're not realising it, and it deserves praise. It's a really good service. I just don't like when people don't realise that they're spouting the same lines as marketing. That there's other ways to say that the service is good without... Anyway, thank you for watching this week's episode of the Weekly Waypoint. I shot a lot of people and they all exploded, and it was a lot of fun. So maybe join me next week when we'll do something similar? Question mark? I don't know.